our final sermon in our 10 Commandment series. It's in the 10th commandment that says, "Thou shalt not covet." What does it mean to covet? That's not a word that we use much anymore. To covet something is to desire it, to take pleasure in it, to delight in it. But coveting is not always wrong. When an angel tells Daniel that he's greatly loved by God, he uses a form of the word covet. If we covet to be closer to God, closer to our family, if we covet to be better people, desire to be better people, that's not necessarily wrong. Coveting simply means desire. But the coveting or desiring that's spoken here in the 10th commandment is the kind where you desire or want something that you can't have. So coveting, desiring becomes wrong when you want something that you can't have. Your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's ox, your neighbor's donkey, your neighbor's house. Coveting becomes wrong when the pursuit of it consumes you. Let me try to explain what I'm talking about. We can't have another person's wife or another person's husband. We can't have another person's money. We can't have another person's stuff. But even as I was thinking about this sermon, my own mind was going through what-if scenarios. What if my neighbor puts his house up for sale? Well, then I can have it. What if my neighbor sells his car? Well, then I can have it. What if my neighbor divorces his or her spouse? You know, if I'm single, then we can get married in time. So there's a way around this, right? We can covet and desire. There's a way we can get it. Maybe here's a better example. Let's say Joe across the street has bought himself a new riding lawnmower. And your lawnmower breaks down, you go, you know, can I borrow this, Joe? You borrow the lawnmower and mow your yard a couple times, or Joe goes on vacation and you mow his lawn for him with his riding lawnmower, and you think, man, I really like the way that cuts the grass. It's quicker than mine, it works better, it starts better. I think I want one. You go out and buy yourself a new riding lawnmower. Or you go visit a friend's house, and your wife notices the decorations in the living room. And thinks, man, I would really love to decorate my house like that. You go home and after some time decide to decorate your living room or dining room in the theme that you saw in your neighbor's house. It could be said you desired or coveted the lawnmower, you desired or coveted to have your living room painted the same direction. So is that wrong? Is that what this commandment is talking against? No. If we can afford to buy a lawnmower, if we can afford to repaint your house or your living room or redecorate your living room, that's not what we're talking about. This difference, this coveting that's wrong, is more about money. It's more than just about money. It's a desire for something that consumes our life. A desire for something that's wrong and causes us to push everything else in our life aside. Whatever that thing might be. Instead of being happy with what we have, we desire something else. That's what I believe is at the heart of this commandment. It's teaching us. It's telling us that we need to learn to be content with what we have. If we always desire to have something bigger and better or have something else, that's unhealthy because that desire and that pursuit of it can consume you. The 10th commandment is warning us against that desire for stuff that we can't have or stuff that we don't have. Maybe it's a warning against being jealous of other people's stuff. Maybe that's an easier way to put it and look at it. As I was thinking about this sermon, that seemed to resonate more with me. Telling me not to be jealous about other people's stuff. Teaching me to be happy with what I have and what I've already been blessed with. The desire for something you can't have will eventually destroy you. Just think about your good old neighbor Joe again. Buys a brand new BMW M5. And immediately you're jealous. I mean, who wouldn't be? I would love to have a car like that, really drive a car like that. But you feel you're a good person. You work just as hard as Joe. Maybe you work even a little bit harder. So you think, I deserve that car. Why didn't I buy that car? Why can't I afford that car? Why doesn't God bless me so I can have a car like that? Instead of that old Joe down the street who just does barely anything to get by, yet he can buy it. You might become angry. You'll probably become jealous. You might become resentful. Because you think you deserve at least what Joe has, or maybe even better. So you start to become unhappy with what God has blessed you with. And that unhappiness, that jealousy can start to bring a wedge between you and God's relationship. You're no longer satisfied with what you had. You're consumed with getting something bigger and better because you think you deserve more. You haven't been given enough by God already. Not a good path to follow. Coveting what belongs to you, not being content with what you have, indicates a lack of satisfaction with what God gives. When you look at something your neighbor has and say, I want that, you're coveting what doesn't belong to you. You're saying, God, I want something you don't want me to have. What you gave me is not good. Give me something better. That's certainly not the kind of desire that I want to present God with. Now again, this isn't a coveting, this isn't warning us against bettering our situation. Maybe wanting to do something a little bit different. Say we want to upgrade our house a little bit. We want to do whatever. We want to buy a little better car because ours is junk or doesn't work anymore. That's not to say that the desire to want to do those certain things is wrong. This commandment is warning us against jealousy, but teaching us also to be content with what we already have. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, maybe, if what you will. So how do we work against this coveting? How do we make sure we're happy with what God has? Well, there's two ways. First, see the blessings in what God has already given you. That quote, that scripture from 1 Timothy, what I read before was from the Message. Here's a translation from the NIV. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and trap into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. I think that fits with the 10th commandment perfectly. If we're always in pursuit of the next bigger and better thing and never satisfied with what we have, that's coveting. That's unhealthy coveting. Never being satisfied, always wanting something bigger and better. Thinking happiness and contentment comes with the next big promotion, the next big thing. I want to show you a movie clip from the movie Family Man. The story of a man who gets a chance at life to do life kind of over again. What if he marries his college sweetheart instead of taking the job promotion? He comes to a point in his life with his family where he gets a chance to take a big promotion and move his family to the city and give them all kinds of material gifts and pleasures. And his wife is resistant to move.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It's like a museum. So what's the big surprise? You didn't rent this for the weekend, did you?
Think bigger.
For the week?
This place is a perk.
Perk? For what?
A company called PK Lassner Investment House uses it to attract new executives. I'm going into arbitrage, honey. It turns out I have a knack for it.
Jack, what are you talking about?
I'll be making twice what I make now, plus a hefty bonus, and that's just a start. And we can live in this apartment practically rent-free until we find a place of our own.
Are you out of your mind?
I don't think so. This is going to be a better life for all of us. Good for Annie and Josh in the private schools.
Annie goes to a great school, Jack.
I'm talking about the best schools in the country here, Kay.
What could you possibly be thinking about? What about my job?
This is New York City. It's like the needy people capital of the world. Your Jersey clients aren't a tenth as pathetic as the ones you can find here.
I can't even believe you're talking about moving back into the city, Jack. I thought the reason that we left was because we didn't want to raise the kids here.
No. This is the center of the universe. If I were living in Roman times, I would live in Rome. Where else? And today, America is the Roman Empire. New York is Rome itself. John Lennon. Listen, okay, you know something? I'm detecting like a funky tension here, and this was supposed to be a happy day. So guess what? I don't need this. We don't have to live here. Forget it. I'll commute. I'll drive to work.
In traffic, Jack, it's over an hour each way. That's like 3 hours every day. When are you ever going to see the kids?
Kate, you're not understanding me. I'm talking about a perfect life, a great life. Everything we pictured when we were young, the whole package. You said so yourself. Life has thrown us a few surprises, so we made sacrifices. Well, guess what? Now I can finally get us back on track. I can do that, Kate. I want to do that. I need to do that as a man, for all of us. Please just think about this for 1 second. No more lousy restaurants. No more clipping coupons. No more shoveling snow.
Then get a snowblower, Jack. Don't go get a new career without even telling me about it. And don't take Andy out of a school that she loves, and don't move us out of a house we've become a family in.
Don't you see? I'm talking about us finally having a life that other people envy.
Oh, Jack. They already do.
Jack fell into the same kind of trap we do quite often, thinking the good life, happiness, is in more money, bigger, better, fancier things. And he missed the blessings that he already had in his life. Great schools, great community, happy family right there. I'm sure if he were to stop and look and think more about it, he would realize that he had life's great blessings in front of him. It wouldn't be worth it to move them, to pack them, to uproot them, just so we could live in a fancier house, eat at fancier restaurants, wear fancier clothes, drive a better car. That is what we're being warned against in the 10th commandment. To take a look at what we're pursuing, to remember, to be reminded of what we already have. I wish I had that mentality more often. To be content with what I have instead of being jealous when I see somebody else get something. I'll give you an example. My sister lives in the Twin Cities with her husband and her 2 young boys. And I don't know, a couple years ago they bought a Mercedes SUV. And this fits my sister perfectly. I give her a hard time because she's finally turned into the yuppie that she's already been. A young urban professional. So I tease her about it now, driving the Mercedes. But when I first heard about they bought it, or first saw they bought it, my first reaction was to be jealous. I'm like, man, I'd love to have a Mercedes SUV. I'll never buy one of those. Why does she get that? I wasn't jealous because I didn't think she deserved the Mercedes. Her and Jason work very hard for what they have, and they deserve all the things they can get. But I was jealous because I felt sorry for myself. Because my 2007 minivan just wasn't good enough, I didn't think. Basically, I turned into a whiny little kid. Then I heard it cost them $200 to $400 to change the oil in it every year, and thought, I don't want a Mercedes anyway. But I had to get over myself to eventually be happy for them. And I did, and I was happy for them, and I'm able to tease them about it now. But my first reaction was to be jealous. And that's not right. I don't know if any of you are kind of like the same way, but when I see people get things that are nicer than mine, or what I think are nicer than mine, my first reaction sometimes is, why can't that be me? Why can't I own that house in the lake to go spend the summer in? Why can't I have the 20-bedroom house with 5 bathrooms and a swimming pool, or, why can't I drive that brand new car every other year? Fill in the blank. Usually our first reaction is to be jealous instead of just being happy for someone. But as I get older, as I get wiser, as hopefully I learn to be content with what I get, I can recognize that first reaction and say, okay, you dummy, you've got everything you need. You got food, you got water, you got a great family, you got a house. It's cool when it's 95 degrees outside. You don't really need much more to be happy. And you can be happy for that other person. That mentality is what Paul is telling Timothy to work for, to be content with what we have. That mentality is a good thing to covet. A second way to fight coveting, being jealous, not being appreciative of what we have, is to see the blessings in what God gives others. Imagine you bought something really nice. You went over to show your neighbor Bob. Bob says, man, I'm ticked. That's nicer than mine. How do you rate having something like that? He's not happy for you. How do you feel after you share that with Bob? Do you feel guilty for buying something that's nicer than him? Would you be willing to show Bob something else that you bought? My sinister side says, maybe I'll keep showing him nice things to keep rubbing it in that way. But again, we probably don't want to share it with Bob because you rain on our parade. How about you show that same thing to Jim? Jim says, what a great buy. I'm glad for you. You really did yourself proud there. Jim had learned the blessing of being happy for someone else. That's the way we need to look at it too. The ability to be genuinely happy for other people. Like that clip from the Family Man showed us. Like we often see other people. We see what other people have and wish that we could have it too. But we don't have a clue what their life is like. Remember the story of the prodigal son? The young son asks for his part of the inheritance, gets it from his father, goes off, blows it, comes back with nothing. Basically begging his father to let him be a slave on their place so he can at least have something to eat and somewhere to live. When the young son comes back, the father kills the fatted calf and throws a lavish party. And what do we have? We have the older brother who stayed behind, pouting and whining because he sees all the attention his younger brother is getting. He's jealous of what his brother gets. The older brother forgot about the blessings that he had. He's jealous of the attention his brother gets from his father, but he forgets he didn't have to go through the hell of losing everything, of coming back a beggar to his family. He got to live with his father. He still has all of his inheritance left. Everything that is his dad's will eventually be his. He has blessings beyond measure. But when that jealousy of what his brother gets takes hold, he's unable to see that. He's unable to be happy for his brother that he actually returned to the family alive. That's what we're being warned against. That jealousy, that desire for more, that pursuit of what we think is going to make us happy, instead of learning to be content with what we have. If we can learn that secret, then we can begin to see the blessings in our lives, to truly, truly enjoy them. And begin to understand that happiness isn't found in the next bigger and better thing. That happiness is found in family, in friends, and in what we have. Let's stand and sing together our hymn of reflection, found on page 715. Now thank